Welcome to this week's video from the beautiful island of Koh Samui in Thailand. So I just arrived here this morning from Bangkok, where I spent a few days out there practicing Buddhism, seeing the sights and just generally being a bit of a tourist. It's been a good 20 odd years since I was last in Bangkok. We managed to find a place just outside the craziness of the city centre. Little 100-year-old hut on a canal, which was awesome. Lovely little spot to get up in the morning for sunrise, practice my Sanchin, practice my Tensho, just with a company of the water monitors patrolling the river. Spent a lot of time visiting the temples, joining the monks for their morning meditation and Buddhist practice, and getting in amongst it around Chinatown, just visiting the old smells. Chinatowns have this very distinct smell. It don't matter where in the world you go, the Chinatown kind of smells the same. It has the same bustle about it, the same liveliness. It just made me think a lot about my teacher Ko. So while I've been away, the comment section over on my Facebook page has exploded as always with various criticisms and comments that I really don't get time to answer. So I thought for this week's video, what I'll do is jump on here and just explain a few things. Not that the people critiquing are going to watch this, but you know, you never know. Okay, so firstly, stances. A video of me performing Sanchin in the middle of a field with my dog has kind of exploded and gone viral on my Facebook page. Many people offering unsolicited comments based upon the apparent length of my stance, it being too long, it being too wide, it being too short, it being too narrow. It's being everything. Like, the comments don't even make sense to me. Anyway, the stance depends upon the function, okay? The heel being in line with the toe, the knees knocking inwards, the back being straight. These are all dependent upon a particular way that we're using this stance or a particular circumstance that we're using this stance. When we look at Sanchin, Sanchin is a tripod, okay? What we are attaining with a Sanchin is a tripod. Now, a tripod will adapt according to whatever terrain you put it on. So if we look down here, we've got various rocks, various uneven footing, right? Whereas here is very flat. So if you were to do Sanchin stood on one of those rocks, it would look very different to the Sanchin you employed if you were stood on the flat ground here or if you were stood over there on the sand. It would depend, as would your engagement on your legs. So the amount of torque you apply, whether you are pulling inwards, whether you are pushing outwards. This is all dependent upon the circumstance, not only of the terrain, but of the circumstance that you are engaging with the opponent. Are you pushing? Are you pulling? Are you holding your ground? Are you striking? Are you grappling? All these things have a direct impact upon the type of stance and how that stance has to change according to the circumstances it is being engaged in. When we approach martial arts and particularly stances as a one-size-fits-all in any circumstances under any means, it completely kills the functionality of that stance and makes it useless. So please stop thinking in terms of does it look right and start thinking in terms of does it work. There's a big difference. The next thing people are really angry about is the fact that I never wear a gi when I'm training and I hardly ever wear a t-shirt. I do in winter when it's cold, in the summer I don't because it's hot. That's it. People are saying it's disrespectful, it's showing off, it's feeding my ego, whatever it might be. Listen, I just get hot, I get really sweaty. I hate the feeling of the material on my body when I'm training. Last I checked, the gi was a relatively new addition to karate. Before that time, people trained in their underwear. There are many photos showing this. Like, please, just get off the comment section of Facebook for 5 minutes and do just a little bit of research before you jump on my page and start spouting things that you know nothing about. Now, the people providing these comments, they are always under a false name. They are always have some random picture that is not them. So you have no idea who these people are. Blows my mind the way the martial arts has gone and that it harbours these sort of people. And the worst thing is, a lot of these people run schools, or so they tell me. A lot of people leave the comments with, well, I've got 40 years experience, or I've got 30 odd years of experience, I'm 6th dan this or 7th dan that, and you're wrong. It's like, dude, I don't care. And the thing about karate, I don't need to be right. It doesn't bother me. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the process of training, researching, finding things out that I previously thought were true and now I think are false. You know, it's an ongoing process, and I think the moment you think you know it all and the moment you die on a hill of I'm right, you're wrong, you close your mind to all possibility that there might be a little bit more to discover. Because make no mistake, karate has had its golden age, and now it is largely seen by the rest of the martial arts community as something that kids do. So in order to keep this art alive, it needs to adapt according to time and change, as is advised in the Bubishi. It has to take a good hard look at itself, the way it's taught, the way it's practiced, the way it's applied, and the way it's understood, and also the way it is promoted to the outside world. We all need to train harder so we look the part, and we need to train smarter so that we understand the reasons why we do things, and it needs to be more than, oh, because my teacher said so. That ain't good enough, that ain't gonna cut it anymore. So get off the comment section of Facebook and go train. I'll see you soon.